Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into Wayne Dyer's 21 Days to Find Success and Inner Peace.
Oh, classic.
It really is. And if you're looking for a boost of motivation, Affirmifyjourney.com has got some great resources. They even have personalized affirmations based on your zodiac sign.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. But back to Dyer, one of the things that really struck me was this concept of being open to everything
Yeah.
and attached to nothing.
Right, that's a big one, isn't it? It's like easier said than done, you know?
Totally. Like, how do we actually live that way?
Well, he talks about how we get so fixated on specific outcomes, like clinging to a work project going exactly as planned, and then any little deviation throws us completely off course.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Right. And so Dyer is saying that kind of attachment, that's where a lot of our suffering comes from.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Because then you're missing out on all these other possibilities that might actually be better.
Exactly. And it's like we're limiting ourselves, right? He uses this great analogy of a tiny seed.
Oh, right. The one that contains the blueprint for this massive plant.
Yes. And he's saying, that's us. We're like that seed full of potential, but we don't always see it. And then there's that other powerful idea he talks about. Don't die with your music still in you.
It's such a powerful image, isn't it? It's like we all have this unique song, this purpose, but so often we let fear hold us back.
Absolutely. It's like we get stuck. Dyer actually personifies death as this figure who keeps reminding us, hey, your time is limited, so you better start playing your music.
Wow, that's intense.
Right. But it's also a call to action, isn't it? To really step into who we are and what we're meant to do.
So how do we do that? How do we even find our music in the first place?
Well, Dyer believes that a lot of it comes down to intuition, that gut feeling, that inner voice that tells us what feels right.
But with so much noise around us, how do we even hear that voice?
That's the challenge, isn't it? Dyer suggests practices like meditation, spending time in nature, anything that helps us quiet the mind and tune in. He even talks about using red lights as opportunities for mini meditations.
I love that.
Right. It's about finding those little moments throughout the day to just be present. And that actually leads into his idea about giving to others. You can't give away what you don't have.
Right. It makes sense.
He uses this analogy of 12 oranges, you need 12 to give away 12. It's the same with our inner resources, those qualities like love, joy, and peace.
So if we want to offer those things to others, we need to cultivate them within ourselves first.
Exactly. Self-love, self-respect, that's the foundation.
It's like filling your own cup before you can pour into someone else's.
Precisely. It all starts with you. And speaking of inner work, Dyer also talks a lot about letting go of the past.
Right. He uses that analogy of a boat in its wake, right?
Yes. The past is like that wake. It trails behind you, but it doesn't determine your direction. The engine, your present energy, that's what propels you forward. So if we're clinging to past hurts, we're letting that wake control our boat.
It's like we're giving the past power over our present reality.
That's exactly what Dyer's saying we need to let go of. The past is over. It can't hurt us anymore unless we allow it to.
It's a powerful reminder for sure. But how much control do we really have over our thoughts and feelings? Is it really that easy to just choose to let go?
It's a great question, and it's something Dyer addresses head on. He talks about problems being creations of our own minds, And he brings up this fascinating concept, muscle testing. Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of it, yeah, but I don't really know how it works.
So basically, you test the strength of your muscles while you're holding a thought in your mind. And the idea is that a negative thought will weaken you, while a positive thought will make you stronger.
So our thoughts actually have a physical effect on us.
That's the idea. It's all about the mind-body connection. And Dyer takes this even further. He talks about these 3 levels of consciousness: ego, group, and mystical.
Oh, interesting. What's the difference between them?
Well, think of the ego level as that part of us driven by fear, insecurity, always feeling like we're not good enough. Then you've got the group level, where we just adopt the beliefs of the groups we belong to without questioning if they actually resonate with us.
So it's like inheriting beliefs rather than choosing them.
Right. But the mystical level, that's where things get really interesting.
What's that all about? Tell me more.
It's like transcending the limitations of the ego and the group. It's about connecting to a deeper sense of unity and wisdom.
Sounds kind of like enlightenment.
In a way, yeah. It's about recognizing our interconnectedness with everything and experiencing true peace.
But how do we even get there? That seems like a pretty high level to reach.
Well, Dyer doesn't really see it as a destination, but as an ongoing journey. He offers tools like meditation, practicing gratitude, choosing empowering thoughts. It's all about moving in that direction. And one thing he talks about that can really block us from reaching that mystical level is resentment.
Oh yeah, he's pretty adamant about resentment, isn't he?
He is. He says there's no such thing as justified resentment. He compares holding on to it to drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
That's a strong image.
Right. So even if we feel like we've been wronged, letting go of that resentment is crucial for our own inner peace.
So forgiveness isn't about condoning what happened, but about freeing ourselves.
Exactly. He actually uses this analogy of the game show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Really? How does that work?
He compares reaching those higher levels of consciousness to reaching that $1 million level on the show. You have to let go of those lower level resentments to get there.
So it's like each level of forgiveness is like a stepping stone.
Exactly. And ultimately, it's about recognizing that holding on to anger hurts us more than anyone else.
It's a powerful reminder to let go. Now, what about when things don't go according to plan? Does Dyer address that in the book?
He does. He emphasizes that the universe often works on a different timeline than we do.
So it's about surrendering to that timing and trusting that things are unfolding as they should.
Yes, he believes true success isn't about forcing outcomes, but about aligning ourselves with the flow of the universe.
So it's about being adaptable, being open to change, and having faith that we're being guided, even when things feel uncertain.
You got it. And that leads us to another profound concept he talks about, recognizing our own inherent divinity.
This is where things get really interesting. He's basically saying we're not just physical beings, but spiritual beings having a human experience, right?
Exactly. And he uses this beautiful analogy to explain it. The ocean and a glass of water. Just as a glass of water taken from the ocean is still ocean water, each of us is an expression of the divine, containing that same essence.
It's a beautiful way to think about it. So we're all interconnected, part of something much bigger than ourselves.
Precisely. He challenges us to let go of those beliefs that tell us we're separate, limited, or unworthy. We are divine beings, capable of creating incredible things.
So how do we access that power? How do we start living from that place of inherent divinity?
Well, that's where the 21-day program comes in. In those last few days, he dives deep into how our thoughts shape our reality.
He's a big believer in that mind-body connection, right?
He is. He uses that muscle test analogy again to illustrate it. It's about becoming aware of the thoughts we're allowing into our minds and consciously choosing thoughts that align with the reality we want.
It's about choosing thoughts that empower us rather than those that hold us back.
Exactly. And he offers some great tips for doing that, like using affirmations.
Oh, right. Those positive statements we repeat to ourselves.
Yes. And visualization, creating a clear picture in our minds of what we want to achieve.
Like a mental rehearsal for success.
Exactly. And surrounding ourselves with supportive people.
That's so important. The people we spend our time with can really influence our thoughts and actions.
Dyer really emphasizes that. It's about creating an environment that supports our growth and well-being.
So it's like an all-encompassing approach, right? It's not just about positive thinking. It's about aligning our thoughts, actions, and environment with the life we want to create.
You got it. And when we do that, we start to see things differently. We become more aware of the synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that remind us we're not alone.
It's like we're tapping into a deeper wisdom, a universal flow that's always guiding us.
Exactly. And that's what leads to true success and inner peace. It's about aligning ourselves with that flow, trusting the journey, and remembering who we truly are. Divine beings with unlimited potential.
It's a powerful message for sure. And it's one that we can all benefit from no matter where we are in our journey.
Absolutely. Dyer reminds us that it's never too late to start creating a life we love. One thing that Dyer really emphasizes is this idea of treating yourself as if you already are what you want to be.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Like embodying the qualities you want to attract.
Exactly. It's about aligning your mindset and your actions with your desired outcome. He gives this example of visualizing a dream car. Imagine it in detail. Feel yourself driving it. Interact with it as if it's already yours.
So it's not just positive thinking. It's about taking those thoughts and putting them into action, almost like a rehearsal for the life you want to create.
You got it. And it doesn't have to be just material things either. This applies to relationships, careers, anything you want to manifest in your life.
So even in our interactions with others, we can treat them as if they're already their best selves.
Precisely. He suggests that by doing so, we actually help them rise to their potential. It's like we're holding up a mirror to their best qualities. And when we embrace this way of being, he says synchronicities start to appear in our lives. We get inspired.
So it's like we're creating a vibration that attracts those things to us.
That's the idea. Dyer believes that when we're aligned with our purpose and acting in harmony with the universe, inspiration flows naturally. We just have to be open to receiving it.
It's about trusting that inner guidance, that intuition.
Exactly, trusting that we're being guided towards our highest good, even when things don't go as planned, which, let's face it, happens to all of us.
Oh yeah, for sure. So what does he say about those times when life throws us a curveball?
Well, he reminds us that the universe might have a different timeline than we do. Things might not unfold exactly when we expect them to.
So it's about surrendering to that divine timing and trusting that everything is happening for a reason, even if we don't understand it in the moment.
Exactly. And it goes back to that idea of letting go of control, trusting that there's a bigger plan at play.
It's about being adaptable, being open to change, and having faith, even when things are tough.
You're getting it. And that faith, that inner knowing, is what leads us to another important part of Dyer's work: quieting the mind.
Oh, right. He talks a lot about meditation, doesn't he? Finding that inner stillness where we can connect with our intuition.
Exactly. He's a big advocate for taking time each day, even just a few minutes, to simply be present, to observe our thoughts without judgment, and to cultivate that inner peace.
So it's not about emptying your mind, but more about becoming aware of those thoughts
Yeah.
and letting them pass without getting swept away by them.
Yes, exactly. It's about creating space between our thoughts so we can access that deeper level of awareness that's always there.
And from that place of stillness, we can approach life's challenges with more clarity and compassion.
Exactly. We learn to respond rather than react, knowing that we are not our thoughts, but the awareness behind them.
Hmm.
And as we cultivate this inner stillness, we also become more receptive to the guidance of the universe.
It's about trusting that everything is happening for our highest good, even if we can't see the bigger picture in the moment.
That's a big part of it. And that trust gives us the courage to step outside our comfort zones and live a life that's truly aligned with our purpose.
So when we align with our purpose, do we then start to attract the resources and opportunities we need to fulfill that purpose?
That's what Dyer suggests. He says that we are co-creators of our reality. Our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions shape the world around us.
So it's about recognizing that we have that power and then choosing to use it in a way that aligns with our highest good.
Exactly. As we create a reality that reflects those qualities, love, compassion, abundance, we start to see those things reflected back to us in our experiences. And we also inspire others to do the same.
It's that ripple effect, right? Where our own transformation has the power to create positive change in the world around us.
Precisely. And one of the most powerful ways to contribute to that positive change is by simply being our authentic selves, embracing our unique gifts, and expressing our truth.
That's where the real magic happens, right? When we stop trying to fit in and start letting our own light shine.
That's what Dyer believes. He reminds us that each of us has a unique contribution to make, and the world needs what we have to offer.
He encourages us to let go of that fear of judgment, to step into our own power, and to share our gifts freely with the world.
Absolutely. He says that our authenticity is our power, and when we embrace our true selves, we inspire others to do the same.
And when we all shine our own light, it creates a world that's so much richer and more beautiful.
It's about celebrating our differences, recognizing that we all have something unique to offer. And that reminds me of another key point he makes, which is the importance of service.
Oh, right. He talks about that a lot, doesn't he? The idea that true fulfillment comes not from what we achieve for ourselves, but from how we contribute to the well-being of others.
Exactly. He encourages us to find ways to use our unique gifts and talents to make a positive impact, whether it's through our work, our relationships, or our involvement in our communities.
And he says that when we shift our focus from self-serving to serving others, we experience a deeper sense of purpose and meaning in our lives.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that our lives are not just about us, but about how we can contribute to something larger than ourselves.
And that's what brings true joy and connection, isn't it? Knowing that we're a part of something bigger and that we're making a difference in the world. Speaking of connection, what are your thoughts on what Dyer says about relationships?
He believes that our relationships are a reflection of our inner state. If we want to experience more love, joy, and peace in our relationships, we need to cultivate those qualities within ourselves first.
So it's not about trying to change other people, but about focusing on our own personal growth and transformation.
Exactly. When we work on ourselves, our relationships naturally start to reflect those positive changes. He also talks a lot about forgiveness in relationships.
Oh, right. He's a big advocate for letting go of resentment, choosing forgiveness, even when it's difficult.
He says that holding on to anger and resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It only harms us in the end.
Like a powerful analogy for sure.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is ultimately about freeing ourselves from the burden of the past.
Exactly. It's about opening our hearts to love and compassion, both for ourselves and for others.
So it's not about condoning what happened, but about releasing those negative emotions that are holding us back from experiencing peace and joy.
Exactly. And he encourages us to see our relationships as opportunities for spiritual growth, to see the divine spark in everyone we meet, and to treat each other with kindness, respect, and understanding.
It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected, part of this larger web of life, and our actions have a ripple effect that impacts everyone around us.
And as we cultivate more loving and compassionate relationships, we contribute to creating a more harmonious and peaceful world for everyone. As we talk about creating these positive changes in ourselves and in the world, Dyer brings up this idea of
Yeah.
letting go of limiting beliefs, past hurts, the need to control everything, even attachment to outcomes.
Letting go. It's such a simple concept, but so challenging to actually do.
Right. It's like we're so used to holding on tight to things. But he's saying that sometimes what we think we want is actually blocking us from something even better.
It's about surrendering to something bigger than ourselves, trusting that the universe has a plan.
Exactly. And that trust, that faith, that's what gives us the strength to face those inevitable challenges that life throws our way.
Because let's face it, life isn't always smooth sailing.
Definitely not. But Dyer encourages us to view challenges not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for growth.
So instead of getting discouraged or giving up when things get tough, we can choose to see them as stepping stones on our journey.
Exactly. He reminds us that we have the inner resources to overcome any obstacle, and that the universe is always there to support us, even when we don't realize it.
So it's about shifting our perspective, seeing those challenges as opportunities to learn and become even stronger.
Yes. And you know what else helps us navigate those challenges?
What's that?
Gratitude. Dyer's a huge believer in the power of gratitude.
He says it's like an antidote to fear and negativity, right?
Exactly. When we focus on what we're grateful for, it shifts our energy from lack to abundance. It helps us to appreciate all good things in our lives, even when things are tough.
He talks about simple practices like keeping a gratitude journal or taking a few moments each day to just reflect on all the things we have to be thankful for.
Right, even small things. And as we do that, we start to realize how much we actually have to be grateful for. It shifts our whole perspective.
It's like that saying, what you focus on expands.
Exactly. And gratitude isn't just about feeling good. It's also about recognizing that interconnectedness we were talking about earlier.
That connection to something bigger than ourselves.
Yes. When we express gratitude, we're acknowledging the gifts we've received from others, from the universe, from that divine source that flows through all things.
So it's a way of honoring that connection, expressing appreciation for all that is.
Exactly. And as we cultivate gratitude, we naturally start to experience a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment. We realize that true happiness isn't about acquiring more things, but about appreciating what we already have.
It's about recognizing the abundance that's already present in our lives.
Precisely. And, speaking of inner peace, that brings us to another powerful theme that Dyer explores in the book: forgiveness.
Oh, forgiveness.
Yeah.
He talks a lot about that, doesn't he?
He does. He dedicates a significant portion of the book to explaining the transformative power of forgiveness. And he's very clear that forgiveness is not about condoning wrongdoing. It's about freeing ourselves from the pain and resentment that we're carrying.
It's about letting go of those heavy emotions that weigh us down and keep us stuck in the past.
Exactly. He makes this powerful analogy. He says that holding on to anger and resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Wow, that's a powerful image.
It is, isn't it? Ultimately, forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves.
It's about choosing to release those negative emotions, not for the other person's sake, but for our own well-being.
Precisely. And he offers some practical tools for cultivating forgiveness, like writing a letter of forgiveness to the person we're holding resentment towards, even if we never actually send it.
It's about getting those feelings out, releasing them.
Right. Or practicing compassion meditation, where you visualize the person and send them loving kindness and forgiveness.
So we're not condoning their actions,
Yeah.
but we're choosing to let go of the anger and resentment.
Exactly. And as we practice forgiveness, we start to experience this shift within ourselves. We feel lighter, more at peace.
It's like we're freeing up all that energy that was tied up in those negative emotions.
Yes. And as we do that, we create this ripple effect that extends outwards. It can help to heal relationships. It contributes to creating a more peaceful and compassionate world.
Dyer reminds us that forgiveness is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of incredible strength.
It takes a lot of courage to choose love and compassion over anger and resentment.
It does. But the rewards are immense, both for ourselves and for the world around us. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into Wayne Dyer's 21 Days to Find Success in Inner Peace, what would you say is the most important takeaway for listeners who are seeking a more fulfilling life?
It's hard to choose just one, but I think the central message that runs throughout the book is this. True success and inner peace aren't things we achieve out there in the world, but states of being that we cultivate within ourselves.
It's not about what we have, but who we are.
Exactly. It's about recognizing our inherent worthiness, aligning our thoughts and actions with our highest good, and choosing to live a life filled with love, compassion, and purpose.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. And it's a journey that we can all embark on no matter where we are in our lives. Dyer reminds us that we have the power to create a life that we truly love, a life that aligns with our deepest values and aspirations.
And as we embark on that journey, it's important to be patient with ourselves, to remember that transformation takes time.
Yes. And to trust in the process, to have faith that we're being guided and supported every step of the way.
Because ultimately, it's about recognizing that we're not alone on this journey.
Exactly. We are all interconnected, part of something much greater than ourselves.
And as we awaken to our true nature, to that inherent divinity within each of us, we naturally start to radiate that love and wisdom outward.
And that's what creates real change in the world. Not through force or coercion, but through the power of our own transformation.
It's a beautiful message, and one that gives me so much hope for the future.
Me too. It's a reminder that each of us has a role to play in creating a more loving, compassionate, and peaceful world. And it all starts with our own commitment to personal growth and transformation.
And for listeners who want to explore these ideas further and find support on their journey, I highly recommend checking out Affirmifyjourney.com.
It's a great resource for motivational content, affirmations, and tools for personal growth and spiritual development.
And it's a wonderful way to connect with a community of like-minded individuals who are also committed to living more conscious and fulfilling lives.
Absolutely. So as we conclude this deep dive, we encourage you to reflect on what resonated with you today and consider how you can integrate these powerful insights into your own life. Remember, you have the power to create a life filled with purpose, peace, and joy. Embrace that power, trust in your journey, and never stop diving deep.